So let's start with a headline that caught my attention this week. This is just one example of it from The Guardian. I'm going to look at my piece of paper just to get the exact headline. UK house prices fall by most in more than 2 years. So this was something that came out earlier this week, on the week that I'm filming this, and loads of different outlets picked up in similar way that house prices have fallen, according to the Nationwide, by the most in 2 years in a single month. So are prices falling? Well, first of all, let's look at what all of the indexes are saying. So Nationwide, they said that the value of property sales fallen by 0.8% in the month. Halifax, they said by 0.3%. The Rightmove asking price index, they said that prices had fallen by 0.4%. And the Land Registry, which is of course, as always, a bit out of date, said that property prices had fallen in the month against the year prior, and this is for April, so a few months out of date, by 2.7%. So, obvious question. Are house prices falling? Have the media got it right? Of course they haven't. Let's talk about why this isn't the case and why, as always, you have to try and block out the noise and focus in on the facts. So you might remember a few editions of these videos ago, I said that you should expect that around this sort of time, post the end of the stamp duty deadline, we will start to see the media talking about how house prices are falling. So there's a few things to factor in. So number one, when the stamp duty deadline was ending at the end of March, we saw a huge surge in the number of deals going through. So for us at Manning Stainton, that looked like us completing on 100%, double the number of deals that we would normally in that month. And of course, the inevitable followed. In April and May, we then saw a big drop-off in the number of sales being completed. Now, the value of those sales and the average price of those sales was also happened to be lower, but it was a smaller sample of data for obvious reasons. And so I think you get a real skewing of market intelligence around anything that relates to government intervention, which is another reason why the government should probably just leave stamp duty alone or get rid of it in its entirety rather than playing around with deadlines and things like that. Because it just does this and it has that impact. It's happened before and I suspect it probably will happen again. The other big factor that you need to understand, which again I have said in previous videos, is that when Nationwide, Halifax and all these different indexes talk about average prices, they're talking of course about completed sales. Now, let's think about that for a moment. A completed sale that happens in May is based on a deal that was done and agreed based on the UK average time for a deal to go through of between 18 and 20 weeks back in probably December or January. So we're not talking about sales that are being agreed today, we're talking about sales that were agreed 4 months ago. And that's really important because seasonality in our marketplace dictates that the sort of sales that are agreed around that time of year tend to be slightly lower in value. It's just that the bigger properties aren't quite as active in December and January as they might be at this sort of time of year. So you get this cycle of change, but then what also happens is when you get stamp duty changes also in the mix, you get a real exaggeration of that problem. So where we've ended up is in a position where all the indexes are saying that prices are falling, but they're not. And let me show you why they're not. So again, I'm going to go to my trusty source, our favorite 20EA independent data, and I'm just going to put very briefly a couple of graphs up on the screen. The first one shows the average sale price across the entire patch that we cover from 2024, from the 1st of May to the 30th of June. And I'm then going to put up one that shows the same data from 2025. And what you'll see is that sales that are being agreed today are actually 6% higher in value than they were at this time last year. So the media have got it wrong. As we predicted, they've come out with these big headlines and it's just not what is happening. Prices are up across the market. And there's lots of reasons, as I've said in previous videos, why that's the case. But I expect that we will see that trend continue. So thinking ahead, I don't think anything's changed. The factors are all the same. We still have high demand and a real surge from first-time buyers. We've got a fairly limited lack of supply in the market. The government are talking lots about building new houses, but the reality is it's not happening yet. And mortgage rates are about as competitive as they've been for many years. So all those factors, in my view, mean that we are going to continue to see the market along the trend that it has been, and that is in a very positive way. Prices going up probably around 6 to 7% this year, and some good movement across all the different areas, certainly, that we cover. To find out whether or not I'm right, and hopefully I will be, you'll have to keep tuning into these videos. I'll always give you an honest update about what's happening across our marketplace. Really do appreciate you taking the time to watch. For anyone who's interested in making their move, as always, we're available 8 a.m. till 8 p.m., 7 days a week, and we'd love to talk to you. Give us a call anytime. Thanks so much for watching.